It's time for another Radioactive Mayo Classic. New team, draft analysis video. Starting a new season. This time we're in the PWC, aka Pokemon World Circuit. This is season 8 of the PWC here. I actually participated in the PWC back in season 5. You can find that playlist on my channel. But now, fast forward a couple of years, we're here in PWC season 8 and we're running it back with a new team, which I'm going to go over in this video. But first, the PWC is a league that has 3 divisions, and these are supposedly skill-based divisions. And so, 3 different divisions here on Showdown. We have the Typhlosion division, or Typhlosion League, I should say. They're separate leagues. Typhlosion League, Dartrix League, and Oshawott League. On top of that, there is a whole Wi-Fi league, a whole Wi-Fi division happening. And so, in total, there's like 62 teams, 62 coaches, all participating in this season of PWC. And of course, we get placed up here in the highest skill-based league, the Typhlosion League. And so, with this many coaches in one season and being placed in the highest skill-based league, I'm really excited for this. It's bringing back my competitive spirit with Pokemon once again. I feel like the past few seasons of Draft League I've done have been fairly casual, just been taking them easy, but this one I'm hungry. This one I'm here to compete, like being in the highest skill division, like I want to win now. So that's what we're in for. And so a few things about this league before I start going over the team that I picked. One of the main rules in this league that sort of makes it unique from other leagues is that you have to draft a signature Pokemon. So the first round of the draft is the signature round. Your signature Pokemon must be C tier or below, and it must come to every single battle. So it has to come every single week. You can't leave it behind. And it is also your Terra Captain, so it can Terrastalize. It's the only Pokemon on your team that can Terrastalize, and it can Terrastalize into any type. So the signature Pokemon being the first round is obviously a very important part of the draft. There's a lot of different strategies and a lot of different signature Pokemon that could be good, but you kind of got to draft your whole team around your signature Pokemon because it has to come every single week, and your opponents know that. And so, of course, once again, we're running it back with the Florida Flamigos, one of my favorite team logos of all time. I'm even wearing the pink to match the logo, right? So let's jump right into it. When the draft order was randomized, I actually had the first overall pick in the signature round. So I got the very first signature pick. It had to be C tier or below. There's a lot of strategy that goes into picking your C tier Pokemon, but I went with first overall signature Arctozolt, okay? Interesting pick, right? Interesting pick. Some people will choose a signature that has a lot of versatility, that can do a lot of things because they got to bring it every single week, so they wanted to fill multiple roles. I didn't follow that logic at all. I wanted a signature Pokemon that was threatening, that people had to prep for every single week, and that is really good with Terrastalizing, because I know Arctozolt is very good Pokemon, right? It's the best Slush Rush abuser in the game. There's no debate there. So giving it the ability to Terrastalize on top of that just makes it even scarier. And I have to bring it every single week, so that means every single week when my opponent is prepping for me, they're going to have to ask themselves, like, what do I do against Arctozolt? And so knowing that, I can sort of kind of build my team around that, Arctozolt is not a super versatile Pokemon. It kind of is just a Slush Rush sweeper, right? Doesn't have a ton of coverage moves, but it doesn't need it. It does what it does well. Bolt Beat goes crazy. I have a few tricks up my sleeve with this Pokemon that I don't really want to reveal right now in this video, but I'm definitely excited to use it. It's definitely a signature Pokemon that is going to be very scary in the team building phase for my opponents. And so in the second round, I had to wait all the way back to the second round, right? So I have the wheel pick in this draft. So I got first overall Arctozolt, and then the last pick of round 2, which is really like the first time that you can pick high tier Pokemon. I went for Slowking. Got the nice bulky water type Slowking. So Slowking got this cool new move in Generation 9 called Chilly Reception. It's the only Pokemon that can learn it, which is hilarious. Like, I don't know why they invented this move out of nowhere and gave it to Slowking, but I love it. It sets up snow, and it switches Slowking out. So I can just Chilly Reception into Arctozolt very easily. It's just like the perfect momentum move to get an Arctozolt, which I'm bringing every single week. So I might as well get this. And like on top of that, Slowking is great. So this is National Dex. So I can run Teleport. I can run Future Sight Teleport. I can run Future Sight Chilly Reception. With Regenerator, it's just a great pivot to be able to take hits and bring things out on my team. And it has a lot of versatility. I mean, it's very specially defensive. I can also run it physically defensive. It gets good coverage moves, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, that sort of thing. So I think Slowking is just a great staple. It might have been an early pick, round 2, but I really wanted to secure that Chilly Reception. Given I have Terra Arctozolt, like I wanted to make sure I got the Chilly Reception user because Slowking is the only Chilly Reception user. So I got that, and then I also get the first pick of round 3. So with the first pick of round 3, I snag a Alolan Ninetales, another Hail Setter or Snow Setter. So that's the thing. When preparing for this draft, this is my first Nat Dex draft in Gen 9. I've done Scarlet and Violet Gen 9 before this, but like whenever there's the start of a new generation, I'm always thinking to myself, like, what kind of mechanics are going to get buffed, like what kind of buffs are Pokemon getting for new generations. And one of the biggest buffs in Generation 9 was the Snow reworking Hail into Snow. And this just buffs Ninetales a ton. It helps Ninetales the most. So, Hail no longer deals residual chip damage. It's now Snow, and it gives Ice types a 1.5 times defense boost, which if you look at Ninetales' 75 base defense, it's not that great, but when multiplied by 1.5 times, it makes Ninetales bulky on both the special and physical side, which is great. And Ninetales is arguably the best Snow Warning setter. It has the highest speed tier. It can set up Aurora Veil pretty easily. So when I was thinking about, what I wanted to do for my first Gen 9 Nat Dex draft, I was like, I want Alolan Ninetales. And that's kind of why I went for Arctozolt as my signature. So this thing is great. It gets a defense boost now. It's an amazing Aurora Veil setter. It's a great support Pokemon too. It gives me a Fairy type. So, obviously Aurora Veil is amazing, Encore, Pain Split, that sort of thing. Ice obviously isn't a great defensive typing, but it's also part Fairy, and Fairy is a good defensive typing. So aside from like Steel types shutting it down, Ninetales is still very good. Can do a lot of things, and so right off the bat, round 1, round 2, round 3, we have the ultimate Snow Core, and so now the rest of the draft, I'm kind of taxed with drafting a team around this Snow Core, which I've secured in the first 3 rounds, and so this is pick 29. We swing it all the way back to the end of round 4, and it comes back to me, the Pokemon that I wanted for my other high tier fire type. It's Volcarona. Volcarona is just amazing setup sweeper. It's one of the best setup sweepers in the game. I mean, in this league, there were a few things that were banned from the high tiers. Volcarona was not one of them, and so it's one of the best setup sweepers in the game. I wanted a strong fire type to pair with Arctozolt, just because fire and ice is amazing. Arctozolt already has Bolt Beam, but add fire onto that, and it's just like impossible for teams to prep for. And Volcarona sets up even easier under Aurora Veil, which I have with Ninetales. And so, Volcarona has just like the Quiver Dance. Volcarona is a nightmare for teams to prepare for. It's something that, like, on top of prepping for Slush Rush Arctozolt, teams are always going to have to prep for Quiver Dance Volcarona, and Volcarona gets pretty good coverage too, Psychic, that sort of thing. And so, I'm really excited to use this thing. I've never actually used it in draft, but I think it's super threatening, and if I can get it behind Aurora Veil, I think it just puts in so much work. So I'm super excited to use that. And then end of round 4 and beginning of round 5, with this wheel pick, I secure yet another insane setup sweeper, and I get Haxorus. Haxorus is one of those Pokemon that I have wanted to use for a long time, and I've never gotten a chance to draft it, and I think it's really good and really underrated too, like really slept on. And behind Aurora Veil, it's just perfect, because this thing is an insane setup sweeper. It, Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Agility, Scale Shot, you name it. Gets good coverage up and down the board, Earthquake, Close Combat, even First Impression, which I can run on like a Life Orb set or just an attacking set. And it gets good abilities too, like Mold Breaker is great. It lets Haxorus Earthquake mons that have Levitate, so I can beat Rotom with Earthquake, that sort of thing. So Mold Breaker is just really good in a lot of offensive scenarios to let Haxorus break through mons that have good abilities. And yeah, Haxorus is just an amazing sweeper. I can run it Scarf, I can run it Band, I can run it set up behind Aurora Veil. So, and that attack stat is just like almost off the board. So Haxorus is great. I have a lot of threats here right in the first 5 rounds. So I have Arctozolt every single week. Someone's got to prep for that. Volcarona and Haxorus are 2 insane setup sweepers that I can put behind Aurora Veil and can be my win conditions. And so now I kind of have to fill out my defensive backbone alongside Slowking. So at the end of round, I think we're on round 6 now, end of round 6, I wanted a grass type and I wanted a rapid spinner. And I looked at Delmise and I was like, Delmise is perfect. It also gives me a ghost type, which is great. But yeah, I wanted a rapid spinner because I have 2 ice types plus Volcarona, and so Stealth Rock is potentially very annoying. And I wanted a bulky grass type to sort of pair next to Slowking. And Delmise is great. Delmise is also very strong offensively, can put on a lot of offensive pressure with the 131 base attack stat. Steelworker gives it stab steel type moves, which I can use to alternatively beat fairies, which helps Haxorus with Anchor Shot. And yeah, this thing just hits hard, has a rapid spin, and synergizes well with Slowking and some of the bulkier stuff on my team. And so I'm excited to use Delmise, another Pokemon that I haven't used, but I think is really good. Obviously very strong. Right after that, beginning of round 7, I snagged yet another rapid spinner, Fortress. Fortress is like the ultimate hazard mon, the ultimate hazard control mon, right? Gives me a steel type, bulky physical steel type. This thing, again, pairs super well with Slowking because it's only weak to fire. Slowking can sponge special fire moves, and it has super good physical defense. And it gives me, hazards for days. And so Fortress I felt like was a perfect fit for this team. I can set up hazards. I can Volt Switch out. I can, bring in something offensive. I can bring in Arctozolt or something to set up. I can bring in Ninetales, set up Aurora Veil. I can rapid spin Stealth Rocks away, and so Fortress is just perfect for this team. I really like it. I'm excited to use it. And so, yeah. After that, we go to the end of round 8, and I snag Eviolite Gligar. I wanted something, again, defensive to kind of just fill out the rest of this defensive core that I've built with Slowking, Fortress, and sort of Delmise. And Gligar, I think, synergizes really well with Slowking because it has good physical defense. It's really only weak to ice and water, which Slowking sponges. And with the Eviolite, I mean, Gligar is bulky on both sides. It gets a ton of good support moves, right? Defog, Stealth Rock, U-turn, knockoff, just like it can do a lot of things. It's just an excellent pivot for me to throw out, go for a support move, and then U-turn back out into something more threatening. I kind of needed a bulky pivot with this sort of hyper offense team that I've been building, and Gligar fits that really well. And so I feel pretty good after this pick that my defensive core is fairly well rounded. I have Slowking, I have Gligar. I have Delmise that can fit in and still dish out damage, and I have Fortress, which can set up a ton of hazards. And so I feel pretty good about that. I can bring in my offensive threats more safely now with pivots like Gligar and Slowking. And so next, I really just I go for Graphii. I go for Graphii. It gives me a poison type. It gives me a normal type. 2 types that I didn't have that are nice to have. And this Pokemon also has good speed. I wanted a little bit more speed. It has Prankster, so I can go for Prankster shenanigans. I don't want other people to or my opponents to set up against me, and so I want something to potentially prevent other people from setting up against me. So Graphii with Prankster is great. Encore, Copycat, that sort of thing. And yeah, it's just a fast. It can be offensive too. There's a lot of interesting sets that. A lot of interesting and creative sets that I can run with Graphii, so I don't want to reveal too much in this video, but I think it fits really nicely on my team. Gives me speed, gives me Prankster utility, gives me a grounded poison type, and a ghost immunity. And yeah, I'm really excited to use this Pokemon. Ever since I've seen this Pokemon in Gen 9, I just think it's pretty cool, and really wanted to use it in draft, and so now we're finally getting to do that. I'm glad I got to fit it on this team. We only have 2 picks left. There's a few holes that I want to fill, and mainly it's dark types. Dark types are pretty strong versus me, so I want a good fighting type and I want a good dark type. Um, First, I go for the fighting type. I need an E tier. I need a bottom tier Pokemon. I need at least one in this draft. And I snagged Girder. I think Girder was one of the better things in the E tier. This is just a bulkier Conkeldurr that doesn't hit quite as hard, but it's a bulky fighting type, and it can do a lot of things. It has 3 really good abilities. It has good coverage, and priority with Mach Punch. So yeah, I don't know how often I'll bring Girder, but if I really need a fighting type for a certain matchup, I think Girder is pretty solid. It's got good bulk. It's got priority. It's got coverage. I can set up bulk ups, do that sort of thing. So yeah, Girder just fills that hole nicely in my team. And then with the very last pick, like I said, I wanted a dark type. Again, I wanted a little bit more speed because I felt my team felt a little slow, and so I wanted a little bit more speed. I wanted a dark type, something offensive, but there wasn't a lot of good like offensive dark types left in the low tiers. But I saw a pick that I thought was pretty heat, so I went ahead and snagged it, and it's Morpeko. Morpeko is heat. I mean, like, look at this thing. It's just so cute. It's an electric dark type. Its base stats are very underwhelming if you just look at them, but this thing is actually really cool. It gets Aura Wheel, which always boosts its speed, so I can just spam Aura Wheel and just keep getting speed boosts, which is really good. Makes it really fast. And its signature ability, Hunger Switch, it lets me cycle between having strong dark type Aura Wheels and strong electric type Aura Wheels, which is really good. This thing also gets really good coverage, like a ton of good coverage moves. It also has a Rapid Spin. It gives me an additional Rapid Spinner if I want a fast Rapid Spinning option. So yeah, I think Morpeko is really cool. I really definitely going to try to bring it this season and put in some work with it when I can. It's just a heat Pokemon. It's just like super cute. I'd never seen anyone draft this Pokemon, and I felt like it could fit on this team. It's not very bulky, but if it's behind Aurora Veil, it could live a hit. And with the Aura Wheel, with its good coverage, like it could pick off some offensive threats. And so yeah, I'm excited to try out more Pico, and hopefully it does well. That's it. That's the team. I'm really excited to I'm really excited to use this team. It's like everything on this team is stuff I've never used before aside from Arctozolt. And so I'm super excited for the season. And like I said, like being in the highest division in PWC, I'm like feeling really competitive again. I'm out here to win this season, and so I think this team is really good. It's super threatening on paper, but we'll see how my opponents prep for it. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoy the team. I'm gonna try my best to upload all my battles this season. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that should be happening pretty soon. So I will see you then. It's snowing in Florida this season. The forecast in Florida is looking like nothing but snow.